It's time for Nebraska to make a change. The Huskers are coming off one of the worst single-game offensive line performances in the history of college football, but it's not just that. Statistically, they are dead last in almost every single offensive line metric, and the problems they keep mounting, whether it's with the coaching staff, our in-game decision-making, our starters who are not playing up to expectations, our second-stringers who aren't any better, our benchings, our injuries. So let's talk about it. This is going to be a very honest video. Number one, should Nebraska fire Donovan Raiola? There's a lot going on behind the scenes. Not only should he be fired, will he be fired? What should we do with his offensive line going forward? Should change be made? Who should start? Who should be benched? Who needs to step up? And then when it's all said and done, can the Huskers save this offensive line, and where do we go going forward? So really quick, this is going to be a very honest video. Hit that like button if you're fired up. And also, if you're a diehard Nebraska fan and are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Listen, this is the only channel that posts daily content talking Huskers, and we're not afraid to talk about the tough subjects. So if you enjoy that, join this family. Help us at 14K. Hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much. But without further ado, we have a lot to talk about. Let's rip the Band-Aid off right off the very beginning. Should Nebraska fire Donovan Raiola? Not will Nebraska fire Donovan Raiola, because we'll talk about that later, but should we? Because right off the bat, we need to talk about the pros, because there are some pros with Donnie, there really are. There's a misconception that he's a bad recruiter. That's not the case. Donovan Raiola is actually one of our best recruiters. Okay, he brought in a bunch of four-stars since he's been hired here, whether it's Grant Bricks, Kama Puma, Present Tomo, Houston Kaahaaina-Torres, Gibson Pyle. He's recruiting multiple 5-stars in the 27 class. Okay, so he's actually a decent recruiter. He's a player's coach. Most of the players really like Donovan Raiola, and he's somebody who has ties to our starting quarterback. And we know that if Donovan Raiola were to leave, there is a question mark whether Jalyn will be here going forward, and we'll talk about that as well. So I'm not going to sit here and act like Donovan Raiola is the worst coach in the world and that he has nothing going for him. He has some strengths. But I'm going to tell you right now, Donovan Raiola is not only one of the worst developers we've ever seen at the Nebraska offensive line spot, he refuses to make adjustments. And this unit never takes any step forward. He's been here for 4 years now. He was the only coach who was retained under Matt Rhule from Scott Frost. Matt Rhule decided, hey, we're going to bring Donovan Raiola back. We're going to give him an opportunity. This offensive line is going to continue to progress. And if anything, it's gotten worse. This is the worst offensive line we've had in a decade. And we've seen some bad offensive lines. And somehow this is worse than all of them. And that falls on Donovan Raiola. And it also falls on Matt Rhule. And we'll talk about Matt Rhule as well. So I'll make this known right now. I'm going to make my claim. I sat here a couple weeks ago and said, you know, let's just give Donovan Raiola time. He has talent. He's working with it. He's getting better. I've changed my opinion. After what we saw versus Minnesota, a completely unacceptable performance, what we've seen these past couple weeks, Donovan Raiola should be fired effective immediately if Matt Rhule is serious about winning. Because I'm sorry, he's a decent recruiter, I get it. But as an offensive line coach, which is all about development, it doesn't matter how good of a recruit you are. You need development at the offensive line spot. You can't start right away unless you're a blue chip #1 recruit in America. Okay? You need as much development as any other position. If you can't develop, which he can't do, it's clear you shouldn't be here. And it's not just the development. It's that these guys look completely unprepared. They're not big enough, and they miss basic blocking assignments. They don't even know who to block on the standardest of plays. Okay, there will be times where the tackle will completely miss an edge rusher, and he'll come straight at Dylan Raiola, or he'll just bull rush Emmett Johnson. There will be times where there's a miscommunication in the center and the guard. They double team the nose tackle, and there's another D tackle who's coming right up the middle, unblocked. Okay, there was a time at the very end of the ball game versus Minnesota where the Gophers only rushed 2 players and they still sacked Dylan. And yes, that falls a little bit on Dylan for not stepping up, but still, how? How can they rush 2 and still get a sack? This is year 4. It's not year 1 for Donnie. It's not year 2. It's year 4. And he has his guys now. He's had time to change this room, to make it better. He's brought in transfers, and it's not getting any better. So it's time for Donovan Raiola to move on. And here's the conversation we need to have. If Donovan Raiola were to go, what would happen with Dylan? What would happen with Dylan? Because we know that more likely than not, Dylan will leave. I do believe Dylan will leave it in this scenario because I understand that Donovan Raiola is sabotaging Dylan's career, right? He's not helping Dylan. But again, they're family. Part of the reason Dylan even came here in the first place was because of Donovan. If Donovan was never here, he probably would have never been at Nebraska. So part of the reason why Dylan's here is because of his uncle. They're very tight. They grew up together. It's like a second dad to him, right? There's no way Dylan's going to stay. And I understand a lot of Nebraska fans are going to say, well, I don't care if Dylan's here going forward. He hasn't played well either. I understand that. I do. Okay, Dylan hasn't played well. We're not shying away from that fact. But it doesn't really matter what we think. It matters what Matt Rhule thinks. I'll tell you this right now. It doesn't even matter what Matt Rhule thinks about Donovan. Matt Rhule refused to give up on Dylan. Matt Rhule is best friends with Dylan Raiola. Okay, they have a connection I've never seen before between a coach and a quarterback. They hang out off the field. Dylan's like a second son to Matt Rhule. So I'll tell you this right now. If there's anything that jeopardizes Dylan Raiola's future in Lincoln, Matt Rhule's going to do whatever it takes to avoid that. So that's why, while Donovan Raiola has done a completely incompetent job, he refused to make adjustments. It feels like the few adjustments he does make are even worse than just keeping it as is. This move will not happen because Matt Rhule will refuse to get rid of Dylan, and also he refuses to fire coaches to begin with. We've had some of the worst offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, positional coaches since Matt Rhule got here 3 years ago. He hired a terrible staff, and yet he refused to fire any of them. Marcus Satterfield, the worst offensive coordinator maybe in the history of this program, was demoted. He's still here. Ed Foley, terrible special teams coordinator, still here. He's on the staff. You go down the list. Gary McGuire was demoted, and then he left on his own. Everybody who was terrible just got demoted because Matt Rhule didn't have the stones to fire them. So best case scenario with Donnie, they demote him or they make him a co-offensive line coach, but he's not leaving, man. He's just not. And that falls on Matt Rhule. I'm tired of pointing the finger at everybody but Matt Rhule. At some point, it's year 3. Matt Rhule has decided time and time again to keep Donnie. He understands that Donnie's a flawed coach and he keeps him here. He's kept multiple coaches here who aren't any good. Okay, we've done the charade. We've fired coaches time and time again. Whether it's with Matt Rhule, Scott Frost, you fill in the blank. At some point, when you're going to year 3 and year 4, it's not just a positional coach issue. It might just be your head man as well. It might just be. And I will say this about Matt. It's not too shocking that the offensive line is this bad. At least if you've been watching this channel. I told you all offseason long, this offensive line has a lot of weaknesses, despite Matt Rhule hyping up. A lot of people, they gave me a lot of crap for it. They said, Wilson, Matt Rhule's saying this offensive line is going to be one of the best in America. How could you say it's bad? And I told you guys, you can't believe Matt Rhule. He's a politician. He tells you what you want to hear. This offensive line has flaws. And the fact that we only took 2 offensive line transfers, the fact that Matt Rhule is not more aggressive in the offensive line market, that's why this offensive line is this bad. The fact they took Elijah Pritchett over Isaiah World, Falili Famoa, Shias Pete, a bunch of other tackles we wanted in the portal, and we got Elijah Pritchett, who's awful, that falls on Matt Rhule, not Donnie. Okay, the fact that we only took one other Rocco Spiller, that's on Matt Rhule, not on Donnie. So again, Donnie should be fired. Don't get me wrong, but the fact that we were so lackadaisical in the portal and we were getting wide receivers and we were getting, secondary players in the secondary, we were getting linebackers, we were getting anybody but offensive linemen because we trusted the guys coming back. Well, turns out the guys who came back are terrible. Shouldn't be shocking. That falls on Matt Rhule. We're going to be honest, right? At times we need to point the finger at head man. We just knew we need to. And he decided to not go after more players on the offensive line spot. Now, again, should he be fired? Yes, he will. I'm talking about Donovan Raiola. Should Donovan Raiola be fired? Yes, he should. Will he be fired? No. Unless Matt Rhule proves to us that he has the stones to make tough decisions, and we just haven't seen that yet with the Huskers. Now, let's talk about the rest of this offensive line. What should we even do with our starters? What should we do going forward? Because it's clear the starting lineup we have is not working. Elijah Pritchett is a great example of this. I don't think it's a hot take to say Elijah Pritchett is our best offensive tackle on the roster. And he is absolutely abysmal. He's given up around 10 sacks this season. He's got benched a couple times. He's got suspended a couple times. He's had off the field issues. He has holding penalties. He has false starts. He got kicked out of the ball game for crying out loud for a boneheaded targeting call. And yet, somehow we're sitting here in late October and he's our best offensive tackle. Does that not explain to you our entire situation? So Elijah has to keep playing. He just has to because we don't really have any other options. Who are we going to put in? Teddy Prohaska? Really? Tyler Knack? Really? Are we going to put in some freshmen? Maybe we should. I don't know. But I'll tell you this right now. We're not benching Pritchett because we paid him too much money. We paid him over $1 million. Matt Rhule, once again, I don't think he has the ability to make those tough decisions. He's not going to say, hey, we're going to bench Elijah. Unless he does something stupid off the field, which is the reason why he didn't start at the beginning of the year. They were going to start him at the beginning of the year, but he did stuff off the field. So Elijah's our guy going forward at left tackle, whether we like it or not. Gunnar Gatula. What do we do with Gunnar Gatula? He gave up 4 sacks versus Minnesota. He was terrible in every aspect of the ballgame. His career has gotten worse. He was better as a redshirt freshman than what he is as a sophomore. How is that even possible? But here's the problem with Gunner. It's either you keep him there and he'll give up sack after sack just like Pritchett, or you'll put in Teddy, who also gives up sack after sack. He gave up 3 versus Michigan as well. I mean, who are the other options on this offensive line, guys? Turner Corcoran, he's not any good. I mean, Grant Bricks, I don't think Grant Bricks is ready. He's very talented, but that falls on Donovan Raiola. Maybe we should give him an opportunity, but he's more of a guard than a tackle. He's not a good tackle. He's a guard. So that doesn't fix our tackle issue. I really like Preston Tamoa, but Preston Tamoa is a guard. He's not a tackle. We don't really have many tackles who can step up. Are you going to put in a guy like Jason Machachek who can play tackle? Maybe give him a chance. He actually played well versus, some FCS schools. Are you going to put in a guy, Sam Sledge could be, get some reps at center, right? But we just don't have many tackles on this team who are ready to play. We just don't. I mean, Gibson Pyle maybe could play tackle. Maybe. He's had some off the field issues. Brock Knudsen, who is a low 3-star coming out of Scotts Bluff with off the field issues. Are we really going to put Brock Knudsen in the ball game? And after that, it's bleak. We don't have many transfers. Here's the problem with Nebraska. It's not only about bringing in transfers who can start for you at the offensive line. It's also bringing about transfers who can be solid depth pieces and potentially start, after a year or two. We didn't do that either. So not only is the starting lineup bad, the depth is bad. So the tackle position is terrible. The interior is crumbling. Henry Lateef has gotten worse as the year went on. Justin Evans has been probably our best offensive lineman, but still, he's not been very good. It's just an all-around failure. And I'll tell you this right now. Here's the sad reality, man. We can't fix this offensive line. We're going into week 8, man. We can't fix it. We decided, Matt Rhule decided, Donovan Raiola decided, Dana Holgorsen decided that our offensive line was good enough. Matt Rhule looked us dead in the face all offseason long and told us the offensive line would be a pillar of this team. He told us that the offensive line was dominating the D-line in practice. Well, maybe the reason they did that's because the D-line's also terrible. That's a discussion for another day. So really, I don't think that Matt Rhule made a bad decision knowingly. I truly believe that Matt Rhule thought this offensive line would be really good. I think he's naive. And honestly, I think he doesn't really know what he's looking at. I truly believe that. Because if Matt Rhule really knew this offensive line would be bad, why would he only take 2 transfers? Why would he roll the dice with Prohaska coming back, who's always been bad? Corcoran, with Pritchett in the first place. So more than anything, I'm looking at Matt Rhule. It's not about Donnie. Matt Rhule's the one who decides that. And Donnie's doing a bad job. But Matt Rhule needs to make some tough decisions. Fire Donnie going into the bye week. Probably not now, but going into the bye week. Hire the best offensive line coach money can buy. I need you to be incredibly aggressive in the portal. You need to take not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, 5 offensive linemen. Really. We need new starters everywhere. Gunnar Gotula can't start here anymore. He just can't. Pritchett, he needs to move on after this year. He's terrible. I don't love his upside. He has off-field issues as well, as we've talked about. We lose Justin Evans. We lose Henry Lateef. We lose Spindler. We lose a bunch of other guys. We're going to have a brand new offensive line next year, all the way around. Bring in 5 transfers. I mean, seriously. And call on multiple boosters, say, hey, we'll take anything, any money you can give us, and we're going to use it for offensive line, no other position. And you hope that some of these freshmen who are coming in, whether it's a Hayden Ainsworth, whether it's a Kalamapuma, hopefully they come in and contribute immediately. Because I'm sorry, if you don't do something quick, the offensive line is going to be the same crap show next year against our tough schedule, against Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana. I think we play Illinois in there too. Iowa. And I'm telling you right now, if you play those teams with even a barely improved offensive line, it can get a little better, but if it's barely improved, we will get exposed and we will not make a bowl game next year. And then we'll have a change at our head coach spot. There's the tough reality of it. So I need Matt Rhule taking this seriously. Not only with our coach, but with our personnel. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts down below. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of comments. Let me know what you're thinking down below in the comment section. Hey, if you made this far, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe. As always, folks, go ahead, go Matt Rhule, and I'll see you in the next one.